Welcome back to Spilling the Tea to Juliet G on Supreme Radio UK. We've been talking to barrister Stephen Akinsanya, OBE, about his early years, his profession, dealing with racism and discrimination. Despite all he has been through, he is a real inspiration to the young generation who want to follow in his footsteps. Now, Stephen, before the break, I was going to ask you a question, but I felt like I needed to ask it live. And my question to you is, we often hear the phrase, you can't be what you can't see. How important do you think it is for successful black professionals to be visible and accessible to the next generation?
Well, it's really interesting. I find myself conflicted when I hear that because I grew up at a time when we couldn't see often the things we wanted to be, and I'm not just talking about law, but many people still achieved um, their goals. But I do recognize that in certain spaces where you're the only one, um, for many people, if you can't see people in those spaces, you don't believe you can get there. And so, those of us who are in these spaces, whether it's law, medicine, or business, or whatever it is, I think it's incumbent on us to be visible. And I've also, grown up with a dad who always said, whatever you do in terms of success, and I got this from him, do not
Yeah.
be part of the brigade who pulls the ladder up behind them because you don't want anyone else up there with
Mm,
you.
Mm,
Ladder down and extend it for others to follow, and make yourself visible to show others what is possible. And so it's really important that you are visible. And I guess that's why I kind of do what I do, because I want to be visible. And it's
mm,
funny that even with the profile that I've now sort of developed through my work, I'm
yeah.
constantly contacted by people who are in the sixth form, people at GCSE level, undergraduates saying, I need some advice, I need some counsel, will you mentor me? So I recognize that it's important. And so we must be visible. Sometimes it's nice when you're in these spaces and you feel kind of special, but it all comes back to me saying, look, you're not occupying that space for very long.
mm.
So your whole mantra should be not about just celebrating your success, which is great, but also making it visible to others to follow you and to emulate you.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
representation has to go beyond simply seeing someone successful. Should it also involve reaching back and creating opportunities?
Absolutely. I look at other communities who successfully do it, and they make opportunities available for youngsters in their communities.
Mm,
And we, we as a community need to do more of it. We need to make ourselves visible. We need to invest, not always financially, but our time in in making the next generation feel that someone in our community cares about the journey that they're just starting and is willing to give of their time, and if possibly even to financially support what we're doing. We as a community often react to things rather than a proactive, and that's not necessarily a criticism, but it's something that we have to confront as a reality.
mm.
And if we are to support young people going forward, we have to be more committed.
It's so true. It's so true. When I listen to Juliet, um, we work with Juliet for some time now, and I would say at least 40% of her conversations normally derive from sayings that her mum would say, or advice, or guidance. And even talking to yourself, I would
Mm,
say probably about 40%, 30, 40% of, when you're talking, you kind of revert back to your father as well.
mm.
So 2 point question for you. How important, for those people out there who are listening, how important is it for their child to be around their healthy mother or to be around their healthy father? Sometimes there's that imbalance in
Mm.
relationships, and the child may not be a part of, because you told me a story, um, you know, when we was in the break about, I don't know if you'd like to share it, about an individual who wished
Yeah,
that you were his father.
What was the
Yeah,
question,
so
Kevin? What was the question which
Sorry.
led to the you should ask the question that led to that response from Stephen.
Oh yes, 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 yes. So well, I was going to ask it in twofold. To be fair, Juliet.
Okay, okay.
But, yeah, but the reason why I was asking that is because representation and connection and having someone there in your life is so important. And I realize that there's a strength on both sides of having people who who really understands life, and they know how to give guidance to a child, or give guidance to someone in order for them to navigate life. And so I realize that no matter where we go in the conversation, we're always going to come back to understanding who you are, but also having people in your life that really understands life and be firm and fair with life as well, in order for children or individuals to navigate life. So that was the first part of the question. um, um, and the second part, the second question was, what would you want your legacy to be? What would you, with all what you've achieved, what would you want your ultimate legacy to be? Which was leading from the previous question, to be fair.
so what you wanted to do with the first one?
Yes, please. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
confused.
Because Juliet
I'm
just
trying
threw
to
me off
remember what the first
completely
one
there.
was now.
Yeah.
What was
The-
the first part? Juliet's
How important? Yeah, how important is
mm,
having a strong mother and
right.
father in your
Okay.
Healthy,
life,
healthy,
or guidance? Yeah.
healthy, healthy.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely crucial because it's the foundation that gives you meaning, sense, and purpose. And I know I'm old school, but I don't care what anyone says. There comes a point, and I get the dynamics of family cannot always be perfect, and no, there is no perfection really. But at some point, a young boy needs the guidance of a male figure to give him his identity, to give him the things that perhaps a woman in his life, a mother in his life, a female um, influence cannot give him. And, I equate that to a young boy that was 18 years old that I represented on a murder trial. And we spent 13 weeks together. And I knew potentially that he was going to be convicted because the evidence was quite strong. But we built a bond, and I saw a young man who was very angry, a young man who recounted the number of experiences he'd had without his father. And when his father did show up, he was unreliable. And I remember when he was just before he was convicted, that tough man bravado had all disappeared, and he was just a boy. And when he was convicted and he got a 34-year minimum term sentence, I could
Wow.
see sort of life draining out of him. And he said to me as he was crying, and he hugged me, and he said, I wish you were my dad. I wish I'd met you when I was about 6 years old. Maybe
Mhm.
my life would have been different." And I was just emotionally broken because
Um,
that's the story of many young men. So having strong parents, having um, parents who are emotionally invested, reliable, and show you the example is crucial, and especially for boys. That's I
Yeah.
think the first part, and then I
Yeah.
forgot what the second question
So
was.
yeah, the second part, basically, of all what you've achieved,
Mm,
growing up in London, studying law, becoming
mm.
a barrister, receiving the OBE, mentoring others, like the list goes on, and it's really powerful. It's consistent. What would you want your ultimate legacy to be?
My ultimate legacy is to not just look at me and what I've achieved, but then to look behind me and see all the lives that I've influenced and changed, which I'm not even aware of. And it regularly happens that people come up to me and say to me, "Oh, I met you 10 years ago, or I met you 5 years ago. Something you said to me changed my life." And I don't even remember who the person was or what I said. But for me, that is true legacy, not by what I've achieved for myself, but the number of people I've impacted to be the better versions of themselves.
Mm. And also, as well, you mentioned that the boy said, "I wish you were my father growing up." So
Mm,
he's in reflection mode of
mm,
where things went wrong, right?
yeah.
He definitely went to that reflection mode. If you can kind of look at your younger you,
Mm,
go back, I don't know, 40 years,
mm.
um, what advice would you give your younger you?
Um, Recognize that you don't stay being a child forever, and that you should start very early on with determination and focus and self-belief, plotting your future, because you don't stay young forever. And I remember, again, one of the things my father said to me, I remember 17 years old, after I resat my GCSEs on my O levels, he came up to my bedroom, said, "Son, where do you see yourself in 10 years' time?" And I looked at him puzzled, and I thought, what is this man on my case for again? Um, then at 27, he asked me, "Where do you see yourself in 10 years' time?" And by that time, I was already a barrister. I was just a few years in. And um, he then asked me, I think, yeah, I wasn't quite in the 10 year, but he asked me when I was in my early 30s, "Where do you see yourself?" And by that time, I was married, I was a father.
Mm.
And that was the last time he asked me because he passed away. And it then
Oh,
dawned on me that, the 10-year increments of my life had passed very quickly. And I'd gone from 17 to being in my mid 30s. And I'd looked back and thought, wow, all of these things have happened. And I recognized what he was doing because he was setting
mm.
milestones for me.
He was being your sat nav.
Yeah. And that's, if I look back now in life, I'd be asking myself that question as a young man of maybe 10 or 11, or even, slightly older. Where do I will see myself? Where do I want to be in 10 years? Because, often now we live in the moment with no thought for the future. But we need to plan. We need to plan.
Yes, yes. Did that saying, who fails to plan plans to fail,
Well,
right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
now, Stephen, you've achieved so much already. So, what's next for Stephen Akinsanya OBE? Is there another chapter, ambition, or project that you're particularly excited about? A book, maybe?
Yeah. Well, the book started when I was 15 and it needs to be finished. It's called Waking Up to the Reality.
Hmm.
And also,
Mm.
I've written a crime drama based on my life and 6 cases that I've done.
Oh,
Um, I've called it Noah after my second son, and I'm desperate
Wow.
to get Netflix or one of the major broadcasters to pick it up.
Mm.
Story about my journey into law, the things I've faced, and some of the cases I've done, which have been very, very interesting cases. And so I'd love to see that on the big screen one day. But also,
Yes.
an ambition I've always had is to have my own school of excellence for young Black boys who have perhaps been cast aside by society or labeled, to teach them excellence in whatever field, not necessarily music or drama or sport, but other
Yeah.
things which are going to be vital for a world that's changing with AI and tech, uh, to let them develop entrepreneurial skills and let them be tomorrow's leaders, because we need leaders and entrepreneurs if we're really going to get
So
ourselves
true.
out of the mess that we're currently in, because young people need hope.
I have a listener question here, and it's from Dave from Hackney. And
Mm.
it says, what can, so he says, what can young people do when they find themselves in a situation where they've been misunderstood or mistreated?
Um, what can they do?
Yeah.
And being mistreated.
Mm.
I'd like to think that there is always a safe space or a person that they have confidence in, that they can share their experiences with,
Hmm.
that person will support them and signpost them to the authorities or individuals who are best placed to help them either navigate or remove them from a potentially harmful environment. But I think it's all about aligning yourself and having someone in your corner that you feel you can trust and that will take the necessary action to safeguard them.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I think just to add to, I think what Dave is also pointing at as well. I think um, is sometimes the injustice is, maybe them being stopped all the time by the police and feeling
mm,
powerless and
mm.
not realizing that there is a system um, that can help them to prevent this, continuous kind of like stop and search biases or racism or discrimination. Um, so sometimes about understanding the law as well from a certain angle or perspective that would help them to kind of like stop getting stopped or abused on the streets as well, because a lot of young black children are experiencing it. What can they do in those cases where they
Ah,
just get stopped over
yeah.
and over again? Yeah.
Okay. First thing, another thing, I go back to my late dad. Knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
When when you know your rights, and you don't have to be a lawyer to know your rights. And as I say, you're growing up in a time where, rather than, and look, this is not a criticism, but I'm old enough and ugly enough to speak as I find. Rather than scrolling through TikTok and being excited by things that you see on there, educate yourself on the things that really matter. You can go on the internet and look up Police and Criminal Evidence Act 1984, stop and search powers of the police. It will tell you what their powers are, what your rights are. Put it in a pocketbook, write it down, have it on your person, so that if you are stopped, you're able to say to the officer, what are the reasonable grounds of suspicion that you've got? Why are you stopping me? Document your experiences. So it's all there in writing, documented the number of times you've been stopped, so that if there is a need for you to make a formal complaint, it's all there, it's evidence based. But the first thing is knowledge is power.
Mm,
Your rights. The law is accessible to everybody in terms of knowing your rights. And if it then becomes a situation where you need representation, well, there are always lawyers who are ready to represent you. But it begins with you knowing your rights, and you can do that without having a law degree.
yes. If you don't use them, you lose them, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Brilliant.
Okay.
Um, so just one more thing I want to touch on that, because I was just writing down some notes as you was talking.
Mm.
What are Because most households feel kind of powerless in many different areas. Like sometimes the parents don't know and they just think that you should yield to every little thing, and a lot of times the children don't know, so they kind of get really angry and frustrated. If it's just like three particular um, things in connection to law that people should know, what would it be? Would you say? I don't know if it's three or five or one, but what would you say every household should know in order for them to kind of be, to safeguard themselves and protect themselves legally?
That's an interesting one. Well, we've touched on stop and search for young people.
Yes.
I think people really need to understand the law of joint enterprise, because joint enterprise is a piece of legislation that exists and affects disproportionately more young black people than anybody else, which tends to end up with young people being before the courts for offences where one or two people are involved in something, but by virtue of where you grow up or the areas you hang out, then something happens and then you're pulled into it. And the law of joint enterprise can say that you're equally responsible, and then you run the risk of the criminal justice system and what it can do to you in terms of Russian roulette and being convicted of an offence for which you did not have a part in. And the
Yes.
other thing, I think, as parents and guardians, interacting with your child, spending time with your child, and knowing what's going on in their lives, because county lines is another huge thing where young people are being engaged in this kind of offending, and parents are not aware of the telltale signs that their child is perhaps being groomed and being
Mm,
enticed to get involved in these kind of offences, and they only find out when it's too late. And in the most tragic of cases, when young people lose their lives because they're so deeply entrenched in county lines that they can't get out. They don't have a voice. They don't feel they can tell anybody, and often it can end tragically. But those are three areas, I think, as it relates to young people, that I'm very conscious that young
Yeah,
people, their families need to be aware of. I mean, there are obviously the wider things about, knowing your rights generally, but that's for every citizen to know, um, what your rights are in particular circumstances where, not you're not necessarily accused of a criminal offence, but just knowing where to turn to, in terms of, various things that can happen to you legally. But I mean, that's a very, very wide topic. But I
yeah,
always focus on the things such as stop and search, which affects many young people,
yeah.
enterprise, and county lines.
Before
Yes, yes. Thank you.
before we let you go, Stephen, is there anything that you would like to say?
Um, I would say I recognize it's really, really tough being a young person growing up right now in a world which is so uncertain, which, many of our leaders are failing or have failed young people. They too need to recognize that the stage is not theirs forever, and every decision that they're making is for the betterment of those who follow, which is the next generation. So rather than making selfish or short sighted decisions, they should be decisions which are geared to empowering the next generation and being creative and supportive of grassroots organizations who understand a lot of the nuances and difficulties that young people face growing up in certain environments, and support those
Yeah,
organizations, invest in them, invest in the people who are ready to do the work. If you're not ready to do the work, there are plenty of people who are. So, I'm talking about supporting all of these great organizations, um, Manhood Academy, 1,000 Black Boys, Spark to Life, Michelle,
mm,
doing great work with her charity in Hackney. There are so many of these great, great charities. Support,
mm,
because they're the ones who are carrying the burden of trying to support
Stephen,
young people on limited
Stephen,
budget.
Stephen, if you could
Yeah,
just wait just a couple of minutes after the break, so that we can sum up, because we are
sure.
coming up to that all important community break, and I think what you've got to say is very valuable and important. So if
yeah.
you could
Really
say
powerful.
after
Yeah.
the break, we'll really appreciate it. So if you could
Okay.
just give us a couple of more minutes of your time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm, thank you.
Welcome back, excuse me, to Spilling the Tea to Juliet G. I can't believe how quick time has flown. Oh my goodness. Welcome back to. It is the last segment of the show.
It is. It's the final segment. It is.
I can't believe this. This is just beyond me. Do you know what? I feel a little bit discombobulated, right? So please forgive me. Today I am on a different tip. But anyway, Stephen, before we went to break, you
Mm.
was telling us about what you was saying about the agencies, about but I've got a question for you.
Hmm.
With all the reading and the preparation that you have to do to prepare yourself for cases, what do you do to relax and chill? Plus, how do you look after your mental health?
I guess they're both, combined. So, uh, I love, as I said, I love music. So, um, the way I unwind is to go to various, live music venues in London, where I'm a member of one. Um, Often to go and listen to live music, live, jazz music, smooth jazz music, soul music, um, and just imagine myself being the musician playing, because that was something that I always wanted to do.
Mm.
Mm,
And I love driving. I love driving cars, getting long on long country drives. I love walking. I love nature. Um, and yeah, that's how I unwind. Just not talking about work, not talking to many people, because despite talking for a living, I don't like talking much. I like to just be quiet,
I get
chill.
it. I get it.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So that's how I sort of switch off. And in terms of, yeah, the mental health, I mean, look, some of the cases I deal with are quite harrowing. You see the worst of humanity. You see harrowing things that have happened. And I just try not to talk about work when I'm at home.
Right.
And would you say you take work home sometimes and you're kind of told leave it at the door?
Well, sadly, in my job, you take work home and you can't always leave it at the door because you're always constantly working on something. But you do try and find those pockets of time when you can literally switch off or not do anything that's related to your work. I mean, obviously, barristers like me, we are in private practice, whereas self-employed. So when you get to a certain level of seniority, you can make a decision not to want to work all the time. You can be
Mm.
selective in how much work you do each year. So you have those pockets of time where you can just switch off.
Yes, yes. What would you want your evolution to be? Would you ever be a judge?
I thought about it. I think my difficulty is that I'm quite vocal on certain things, and once you become a member of the judiciary, you are limited in what you can say politically. You can't make any sort of political statements. And I'm not a politician, but there are some things that I am very vocal about. And I'm also involved in so many things that being in one place all the time, sitting in judgment, I don't know if that's for me. Maybe on a part-time basis, but I'm not sure that I'd be a full-time judge. No.
Now,
Right, right.
Stephen, I cannot thank you enough. I genuinely can't believe where the time has gone, and it's been at an
Mhm.
it has absolutely flown by. Now, there is so much more that I would have loved to explore and discuss with you, and I feel as though we've only scratched the surface. Now, we've
Mm.
heard about the young Stephen, your journey into law, becoming a barrister, and some of the challenges you've encountered along the way. And importantly, the work you've continued to do through mentoring and giving back to others. Now, what really stands out is that success isn't just about what you have achieved for yourself, it's about what you do with that success to help open doors for people coming behind you. Now, Stephen, I'm actually going to put you on the spot right about now. Before you leave, I'd love to invite you back for a part two, because there are some really important conversations that you actually touched on that I would like to have with you. When and why would an ordinary member of the public actually need or see a barrister, as I'm sure not everyone tuned in understands that side of the legal system. And I'd also like to delve into the conversations about joint enterprise, what it means and how it operates within the legal system, and why it has become important, but at the same time, the controversial subjects. But something that I know is very close to your heart is your involvement in the prevention of knife crime, which we haven't touched on, and the
Mm.
work that you're doing with that. So, would you come back for a part two? You know, putting you on the
You tell
spot.
you tell me when and where, and I'll be there.
Okay, brilliant. I love that. I love that. Now, I think that
Brilliant.
subject deserves, definitely is definitely going to arrange something. Now, I can't thank you enough for giving your time, because I know that your time is very precious, and sharing your journey as openly as you have done. Um, and it's been an absolute pleasure having you. So thank you.
And thank you for the invitation.
Brilliant. Thank you. Yes.
Thank
Truly
you.
appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time. I know you're going to get back to your day now, whatever that looks like. But yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much, man. Thank you also for your vulnerability as well, because I think we all need that, the understanding, the growth, the journey, the adventure, the accolades, the down moments, but also the dedication. So thank you so much. Truly appreciate you, Stephen. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Kevin. I appreciate it. Thank you, Juliet.
you. Are more than welcome, and I will be in touch to arrange a date, as in date
Sure.
for this.
Brilliant.
Okay.
God bless.
God
Thank
bless
you.
and
Take care.
enjoy the rest of the
Yeah.
weekend.
And you.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Wow. What a powerful conversation. Now,
Yes, yes,
I
yes.
want to get back to getting my discombobulate because you know what? At the moment, I guess I'm bubbling. Um,
Mhm.
last week Sunday, but first of all, before because I don't want to get cut off, I want to thank all the people that have made a donation, that have contributed for the cause, and are still contributing. All the anonymous donators, thank you. I cannot thank you enough, and I just want to say the word for me. I just want to repeat
Reiterate?
myself.
What's that?
That's the one.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah.
all the monies raised goes directly to the African Caribbean Leukemia Trust to help towards the incredible work that they do for patients, their families, and the donors. So if you would like to make a donation, you can it's www.justgiving /page /Juliet JULIET -GEE the number 3, right? So it's www.justgiving /page /Juliet -GEE the number 3, and all funds raised goes to ACLT. Thank you. Now, I know that I haven't got long, and people have asked me, how was it and will I do it again? Well, all I can say is it was an experience, right? And if you have seen the video, it was 1 minute of dropping, and the time I was fine. If you saw the videos, if you saw my stories, I posted it up there, and I'm gonna post it on my pages, and you'll see the lead up. And I was fine. I was living my best life.
Hmm.
But all I could say, the time when fear hit me was when that door opened and I saw the sky, and I thought, oh my God, I cannot call God enough. And all I know is that he sent his angels to make sure I landed safely. And I felt them. I felt them, people. The angels made me. And you know what? You only need to tell me something once so that I don't injure myself. Listen, don't watch the jelly in front of my belly. Trust me, my core muscle worked overtime. My feet were at 90 degrees so that I had that safe landing. I didn't break nothing. I didn't injure myself. And the Lord was with me. That's all I'm saying. And maybe I might do an Insta live. Maybe I might do, because I still cannot believe that I did this. Every time I wake up and I get my phone and I have to check. Was it me? It was me. Oh, it
So,
was me.
question, Juliet. What did you learn about yourself?
I can do anything. I can do anything I set my mind to. And I realized, you know what? I am a person that if I set my mind to doing something, um, I will do it. And I have, and I was thinking about all the stuff that I've done in my life, even when people have said, you know, like, oh, are you sure you're gonna go into that? And da, 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 da. I was a foster carer, a single black foster carer, a single black parent foster carer. I have done life coaching for 5 years, where I worked voluntary in a secondary school. I have walked on hot coal. So I know that if I set my mind to doing something, I'm going to do it, and I will do it. So what's next for Juliet? A hot air balloon. Gonna go on a hot air balloon. I know that's a lot calmer,
Okay,
but you
it
know
starts
what?
all over again. I love it.
Yeah, I'm going to go on a hot air balloon. I know there's a few people who said that they want to come with me on that journey because it's not as mad. It's not as mad, but it's now just trying to find where to do it and how many people in a basket, you know, because the weight
Do
does.
you, do, do you do you prefer? Sorry to cut you. Do you prefer? It's not like your friends are listening right now, so don't worry about it. You know, you
Is
can
it?
answer.
That's what you
It's just,
think.
it's just,
They are
it's just
listening.
you and me talking. It's just you and me talking. They're
Okay,
not
go on, go on,
listening.
go
They're,
on.
they're not listening. Do you prefer kind of going on these adventures by yourself, or do you prefer your friends coming along, or is it that they just slow you down and you just can't manage to get things done because they slow you down? You know, I'm not starting anything between you and your
No,
friends,
no,
by
no,
the
no,
way.
no, no, no. Do you know what? My
You know.
friends, those that know me know I've got a if I set my mind to doing something, I will do it. You know, even my little sister, she's like, you know, I can't believe that you've done this. I know, you know, I do some things and afterwards I think about it and then I think, oh my God, I just did that. Is it me? Did I really do that? And then I'm so glad that I took the package and I've got the video and I've got the proof so that I've got something to a little legacy to leave my grandchildren. Hint, hint,
Mm.
CNC, you know who you are, you know, but I'm still, you know, I'm still shocked because like this time last week I was preparing, so I'm just so grateful and so humbled by all the donations, and they're still coming in. They're still coming in thick and fast. And please donate. Please donate. And yes, what can I say? Like, my mum always says, don't ever wish for somebody else's life. You have to carve your own life for yourself. And so
Yeah, very
I've
true.
carved my own crazy mad life for myself. I've done some mad things, you know. I've done some mad
Go on,
things.
tell us some of the mad things you've done, Drew, that you can share with us.
No, there's not enough time. That's something that I'll have to do
I
on a
think we should do
live.
a show. Yeah,
Yeah,
well, I think we should do a show called Juliet's Mad Things.
mad things. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, right. Next week, right? Next week's guest is next week Saturday. I will be in conversation with a returning guest. She goes by the name of Deborah Jean Pierre. We'll be sharing her professional expertise on the importance of wills, lasting power of attorneys, and much, much more. Like I say, each and every week, you don't want to miss this, and make sure you set your alarm clocks from now. Now, coming up next, we have. Hold on. Hold on. We have. Oh,
Hmm.
hold on. Oh, hold on. I just need to. I'm just checking who is. Sorry.
Oh, you there, Juliet?
No, no, no. I am here. Hold on, hold on, hold on.
Okay.
Yes, right. Okay. Right, coming up next. Oh, see, I see him patiently waiting in the wings for is Nigel B in for the original boss lady. And 2 till 4 we have the man with a plan, TLC. And 4 till 6 we have TJ Sting. And 6 till 8 we have WJ Goodgroove, and 8 till 10 we have DJ Tubbs from the More Love family. Yes, okay, Tubbs, I see ya. And 10 till midnight, we have DJ Squeaky. And midnight till 2 a.m., we have Uncle Nuts until he says so. Now, that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Saturday stroke Sunday morning presenter lineup for Supreme Radio UK. Now, I have a quick special announcement to make. And I need your help. Now, Spilling the Tea is turning 6 on Saturday, the 21st of November. And it's going to be a very special day for me because I will be exactly 6 years to the date since Spilling the Tea to Juliet G first aired on Supreme Radio UK. Now, 6 years of conversation, 6 years of incredible guests, and 6 years of laughter, tears, truth, surprises, and unforgettable moments. And I want you, my listeners, I want you to help me decide how we celebrate. So tell me, should I invite some of my past guests back to catch up and find out what they've been doing since their first was on Spilling the Tea? Or should I open up the phone lines and let you, the listeners, join me live to share your memories, your favorite shows, your favorite guests, your funniest moments, or simply come on and just say hello? Or should we do both? And be truthful with me. If I open up the phone lines, would you actually call in, or are you just going to leave me hanging by myself? Now, this anniversary isn't just about celebrating Spilling the Tea to Juliet G. I want to celebrate you, every one of you that listen, because without listeners tuning in, supporting, commenting, sharing, and joining the conversation, there would be no 6 years of celebration. I need to hear from you. So you can text, I'm going to put it on the socials as well, but you can text me on +44 for the international guests, 7958674099 by Saturday the 31st of October. So yes, please, Kevin, just really quickly, we've not got long left, we've literally got seconds. So is there anything that you'd like to say before I let you go?
As I
30
always say,
seconds.
keep going, keep pushing, and you will get to your oasis.
Absolutely. And I want to say to everybody, thank you. Have a blessed day, have a safe day, and make it an absolutely spectacular day. Hashtag Spilling the Tea, hashtag Kevin B, hashtag Juliet G.
Juliet G.
Amen. Thank you, thank you,
Brilliant.
thank you.